Hi, my name is Fred Krieger with American Family Funding, and today we're going to discuss about how we got involved with our relationships with credit unions. And I want to introduce Fred Arnold, who's a branch manager of American Family Funding as well. So welcome, Fred.
Thank you. I'm excited about this subject.
Thank you. Well, over 10 years ago, we decided to go after a strategy of creating relationships with credit unions. And it all started with having you actually sit on the board of a local credit union. Can you kind of expand upon that and why we established such a great working relationship with current credit unions today?
Yeah, I'd love to, and share some benefits, because it started with Matadors Community Credit Union. Cal State Northridge's credit union. I was a grad, and I saw in the newsletter they're looking for volunteers to volunteer for the board of directors. I served on their board of directors for just over 5 years. But it was interesting because Matadors had relationships with other mortgage vendors for those 5 years while I was on the board of directors. Of course, I didn't want to push my expertise on that because I was a volunteer for the board of directors. Well, it seemed like after about 5 years, I had done a loan for at least half the board because the in-house lender for Matadors wasn't doing the job they should have been doing. And so after about 5 years, the CEO said, would you resign from the board and help us fulfill our mission when it comes to serving our members when it comes to mortgage loans? And that's what I did, and that's how it started.
So you basically established credibility and you established competence, because those are the two most important things, I think, today in lending.
Well, they knew my credibility from being on the board, but I had to show I was competent. And when the other mortgage company couldn't fulfill the requirements, then I just stepped in and did my job.
Sounds good. Tell me a little bit about how we created relationships and what we found with our current relationships with credit unions. What do you find that is the most important thing to them today?
Well, one of the most important things that we do to introduce ourselves to credit union is to go in and do some training. And training is so important because credit unions don't have the resources and the dollars that big financial institutions have that spend millions of dollars on training. They don't have those type of budgets. So we figured, why don't we go in and train on sales culture, on leadership, on how to better serve their members. And so we conducted these morning meetings, sometimes 7 o'clock in the morning in the lobby of a credit union, sometimes at lunchtime, sometimes in the evening. And we conduct these trainings to make them better at what they're doing. Because one thing we do every day at American Family Funding is we're continuously touching our customers and providing service. And we're competing against the big banks. We're competing against the really large financial institutions. So we have to be on top of our game, and we brought that kind of training to the credit unions.
So really, we are developing a great partnership and a relationship. It isn't just a vendor-vendee type of relationship. We're creating that partnership, trying to become part of that credit union so we can get into their culture as well.
Yeah, give them value. Give them value they're not getting from other places. And the second thing that's most important, Fred, is advice. With so much that's changing in the mortgage divisions right now in the mortgage industry, with the CFPB down everyone's neck, and with all the new requirements, we want to make sure we're on the cutting edge of advice. Advice for credit unions, advice from the top down and from the bottom up. You know, I often say that those that are touching the members on a daily basis are the ones that are making a lot of the decisions for you. So how do we train that frontline employee that's touching the member first? And how do we give advice to make sure they adhere to all the rules and regulations of the new CFPB?
I think that's a great, opportunity that you bring that up, because again, going back to the competence issue, Fred, is that, we are ensuring that any loan that we do with them or any advice that we give them is up to the date. And I think that's really important when someone discusses, I want to partner with a mortgage professional, and who's that professional? And again, kind of looking back to what you and I have given back to this industry, again, with your, involvement with the local credit unions, sitting on the California Association of Mortgage Professionals, being their president, sitting on the National Association, me being the current president of the California Association. Again, we want to make sure we're giving back to the community and kind of going back to the whole character and competence issue. I think that's really important.
Yeah, you mentioned something really important, and that is credit unions have a lot of character. They just seem to show their members are competent, and when they do that, they have a recipe for a tremendous amount of success. And so that's what we try to do, is give them the advice necessary so they are the experts and they can show that. I want to talk about something else that's become very important to credit unions, and that's revenue share. Revenue has been very important to credit unions because they're paying out this much, they're lending at this much, and that margin is getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. So where's the revenue coming from? And we're able to revenue share as long as the credit union does certain tasks on a loan. And that's something that's been really beneficial to our credit unions is to help them generate more revenue.
Great point, Fred. Thanks for bringing that up. So, Fred, tell me about giving back to the credit unions. I know that's a really important part of our mantra and our strategy.
Yeah, one of our niches, Fred, that I don't know if any other mortgage organization does, and that is you and I and our team, we originate over $125 million in loans that don't necessarily come from credit unions. They come from our own sphere of influence, our clients, the community. So we take as many of those loans as we can and put them back with credit unions. What's that do? It allows credit unions to have more interest income. Give them home equity lines of credit. We see where our loan applicant has a car loan, maybe at a higher rate, and we're able to get them a lower rate at the credit union. We try to give business back to credit unions, and that's something that many mortgage companies don't do right now, and we really pride ourselves on.
That's a great point, and again, I think that separates us from a lot of other people. So, Fred, how can we get a hold of you?
Well, the most important thing is American Family Funding. It's www.affloans, AmericanFamilyFundingLoans.com, or our office number is toll-free 888-317-9883, 888-317-9883, and the local number is 661-284-1150.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
If you found this information informative and would like help building your mortgage division, please call us directly at 661-284-1150, or again on the internet at www.affloans.com. Thank you.